Welcome to our March 17th, 2022 meeting, and a happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone.
Yeah.
Now we have a fairly extensive agenda tonight, so we'll just maybe jump right into it. We don't have any presentations, but we'll move on to our discussion items. And we have a 2.1, it's the Netherlands Lawns Conservation. And Adriana, could we call on you to give us an update on sort of just what was the thoughts?
Okay, good. I'm glad you didn't call it a presentation because I'm not prepared for that. But I was reading an article about what they're doing over there because globally we all have the same issues, right? And I
Right.
really, really interesting things. And I'll show you some pictures. So the medians is the first thing I heard about, and that's what I reached out to you about. So they were turning like roadsides, not just the medians, which are beautiful along Lakeshore anyway, but the roadsides where, I don't know, the big long tractors might not be able to reach there, or it's trodden all the time or whatever, what have you. So, but they had a community group just turned it into wildflowers. So my concern with that is the maintenance, and I'm sure Mona can speak to that. But this is what they did with one roadside.
Very nice. It's very
So
nice.
was it like a long area, like miles and miles of it, or just?
It looks like it.
Yeah.
It looks like it, but we don't have to do that.
Yeah.
I just thought because it reduces labor if it's done well.
Right.
Once it's all filled and the weeds are excluded from the fill.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want me to go on or if you want to talk about that. Because I found this, what else they're doing, and it's awesome.
Perfect. Let's hear it.
This is, guess what this is?
Is it on a roof?
Yeah, but what kind of roof?
I can't see the roof part, sorry.
Bus stops.
Yes,
Oh, I love that.
it's
idea.
a bus shelter.
Oh, I couldn't see it.
That is
Wow.
what cab.
Was that a guess, Anne Marie, or did
Yeah, this
Well,
was.
I actually have been taking my interest in doing rooftop gardens, like pollinate gardens, onto bus stops. And I've had some early conversations with staff about our infrastructure across the city, and some are curved, and whether they would lend an interest. So I think that would be an exciting conversation. And I'm also seeing so much dovetailing with kind of what we do, Communities in Bloom, the sustainability side of the Active Transportation Sustainability Committee. And then I can share some updates, but we've got a new group in Barrie of residents that have created this site called Pollinate Barrie. And so we might have a lot of interest from different resident groups that can support some of these ideas or help to identify what's possible through staff and Mona from a that perspective, but also we could probably look at how it's a shared interest across a couple of groups.
Love it.
Yeah, so I was connecting with Stephanie at the City of Barrie at one point, because I was wondering about if that type of approach would support Barrie as a bee city.
And did she get back to you?
Well, I think because of COVID, and I don't want to speak for staff, and I'm not sure, Mona, if you know, but I was wondering about bringing, as we're generating ideas, would the next meeting be something where we would invite other staff or Barrie urban gardeners or this new group called Pollinate Barrie to have a conversation, whether it's through this meeting or outside of the meeting, about how we get the whole program for Communities in Bloom amplified through these groups, and how we might be a bit more purposeful around, where's the outreach we can do to really do some of these beautiful things. Because Adriana, when you even identified that location, it reminded me of a tour I did of the Painswick Library. And there is, if you haven't been there, we talked about outdoor gardens, but there is a mound of clean fill that was left on the side. And it's almost this huge mound, but could potentially lend itself to an interesting naturalized space. And I'm not sure if the library would be an interesting stakeholder to have a conversation to say, what if you naturalize that in a particular way and took some of your programming outdoors, especially because we're in that month of CD Saturdays and there's so much happening, but is there a place like that that supports our interest, but also becomes a place where we can harvest some interesting seeds?
Mhm.
Yep. So go ahead.
Yeah.
The wheel's going. Okay. So I just have one more.
Yeah.
And I think we're doing this in some spots. A Pollinator House that they have in their city gardens.
Where's that one? Is that in the Netherlands as well, Audriana? Yeah.
Yes, it is. But we have amazing public parks and spaces that, you know, that have the gardens in, that we could throw one of these into.
Just in terms of the pollinator house, it's kind of hard to tell from the picture. What actually is it? Just made of like branches and stuff?
It is, yeah, and it's held together with rebar, it looks like. And then you've got the logs with the drilled holes,
Mhm.
and then the branches. Yeah, and pipes. But a lot of sawn logs.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but don't we have one of them already?
And I was thinking that too.
There's the one
Yeah.
up at along the back pathway there, the Granier pathway at Sunnydale Park. There's the house up there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But we could have more.
Oh, yes, there's,
we can
absolutely.
have more. Yeah.
We just need to maybe try and come up with you know, so that we're expanding it out into the community, maybe some woodworking projects and that there for some of the woodworkers and that throughout our community,
That's a good idea.
you know, to build some, right?
Yeah.
okay. Now just back to the original one there with turning the different wildflowers and stuff on the roadsides. What would be involved in that, Mona, to try and do something like that? Like we would need to, I guess, pick a spot ideally, and then get city approval, obviously, to let us try something like that, or another group, like with under our purview, you might say, do that.
Yeah, there's an opportunity in that there to definitely put out that request and you know, I think it'd be like the preparation, and obviously, I mean, you know, it's not just simple. We're about to just go in and you know, and what, you know, you have to make sure that it's a place that we're both, we could get in with our vehicles and do the maintenance and that there without impeding, you know, happening every time in that to get a lane or road closure.
Right, yeah.
You know, just take that into consideration. Definitely, you know, there is some, you know, even like little, you know, cul-de-sacs or, you know, or something that, you know, that maybe the neighborhood and that there would, you know, would want to help out, you know, because there'd be some preparation work, of course.
Oh, for sure, yes. Yeah.
Ask a question, Chair
Yep.
Carl.
Yep.
Mona, is that something in that approach, and maybe this is my assumption, where it gets seeded and it kind of becomes its own regeneration every year, there's low maintenance, or is it something that we have to tend to be mindful of around cutting or managing the creep or expansion of that in some way? Or is it okay to kind of seed it and then let it be?
You know what, as long as, you know, as long as we just, you know, you'd want to keep ahead of the initial weed impaction that there, you know, just so that it's not going to choke out like the you know, the smaller plant material and that there initially. That would be the key thing, just, you know, so that they get, you know, an opportunity in that to, you know, to grow, you know, until they, you know, because if they're too small, it depends on the size of plant material that one in that there would be planting then easily, you know, especially if it's just a rental and that at one of the cul-de-sacs or a boulevard or whatnot, entry feature into one of our parks, then you know, obviously it would be, you know, like a weed patch and that we'd probably be eradicating that there in order to, you know, get some proper, you know, proper soil amendments and that into it. So, but definitely it's doable. I mean, something that, you know, we would have to, you know, we would definitely want to seek permission in that there to, you know, move forward on that.
Yeah, like Adriana, in terms of the Netherlands, are these along like major roadways, is it? Or do you know, or if it's just residential streets more or?
No, that looked like a major road, and it was it wasn't the city taking care of it. It was a community group.
Oh, okay.
There was an approach, and I can follow up, or we can reach out to her if you want, but Jennifer Niven is a colleague, and she's with the Barry Garden Club. And I believe tied to that relationship, she's done a lot of work with schools. And I think it was last year, they still, or the year before, they still had school groups make what they refer to as seed bombs. And they had a relationship, I think, on with Simcoe County on Highway 26. And so the kids made them, and then they actually got kind of like thrown and left. And so it was a nice kind of youth activity around both making it, but then in the type of seeds being put into it, and looking at kind of those arteries coming into the city as even an approach.
Okay. Yeah, Dorothy, did you ever run into that, Jennifer, that?
No.
No, okay, because I know you're doing things with the schools too at one point too, so, okay. All right, does anybody else have any other questions or comments on that particular topic?
For me, I guess it's more next step. So is it, if I love the ideas, Adriana. So, I mean, are those things we take away at a staff level, Mona, to explore what's possible, or are we looking for connections to individuals that could help kind of run with this with a lens around the theme of communities in bloom and registering that garden space and encouraging that to be kind of an idea, and who to go to if that's something they want to do, and what are viable spaces that we could identify within the city where people could take an approach. So I know the Boulevard Gardens is another one we're really trying to promote, which is that existing program. And I even know residents who are trying to get a whole street. And we're looking at that to say, oh, before you just do it, maybe there's a way to be purposeful to align it to the theming of communities in bloom, and then having it kind of registered and aligned to some of the intentions that we want to spotlight.
Yeah, for sure. I know that, there's been the Boulevard program, and that they're in place for quite a few years, and that they're now, and if you drive around the city, then you do notice the ones that have beautified there, and there's some really, really nice ones out there that have, moved forward and continue to keep it up, up to par. There's opportunities in that there. We just have to keep in mind that, the height restrictions, the proper plant material, and obviously, site, like sight lines, and that are very important.
So would we try to pilot this year at some type of rooftop pollinator garden on a bus stop, if one is possible?
I love that idea, actually. I think that's really cool. So obviously we would want to reach out to our, to our traffic / transportation. I guess it'd be more like a traffic department, and approach them with the idea. So, and doing maybe 2 or 3 of them in a higher focal area, hopefully make that impact, and, open up conversations and that they're about them. Once again, I'm not sure, we'd have to figure out exactly what would be, appropriate installation component of it, and, figure it out from there. But yeah, I think the first thing would be to approach our, our transportation or traffic department that there, to see if there's a willingness to let us, do 2 or 3 of them and to start.
That would be great, because I think I'll pull up the emails that I started maybe last year or so and send them to you, Mona, if that works.
Yeah,
we'll
that'd be great.
we
Thank
can
you.
carry that on. Yeah, because I think it also tied into how do we educate the public when we're drawing them into a stationary spot like the bus stop.
Yeah.
I think I heard that there was certain bus stops that would lend themselves to doing that, but the whole water piece and what costs to retrofit that, but then also what's the public engagement tied to communicating about being bee friendly, and when you're attracting different insects into a space where some of the public might be hesitant about, why is that resting on a bus stop I'm standing under?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think probably it'd be, public education that there, and that would be definitely something that you would want to present, to the traffic department, just to give them a heads up. Okay, there's pros and cons, more pros than there would be cons, but just so that they would be well aware and appreciative of, efforts, and also appreciative if there was complaints and that ever called in.
Would we, in case it comes at a cost for a retrofit or anything, do we need to formalize that intention at all through a recommendation from this committee that we'd like to explore, piloting or establishing one or a couple of rooftop gardens on bus stops?
Yeah, Audriana, would you be able to send me the information on that, if you don't mind?
Sure. I'll try to find it again.
Okay, thank you. I'd appreciate that. And then we can go through, and obviously it's a budget thing, right? So you may have to reach out and get some companies or organizations out there to help to retrofit these. I don't know if our staff in that within the traffic department would want to take something like that on. I mean, they obviously have priorities, but yeah, it'd be something that if we're going to do it, then we should move fairly quickly on that opportunity.
Do you need something from, like, as Anne-Marie mentioned, like some kind of recommendation from the committee or something to actually get it started, or are you comfortable taking it?
You know what, Anne-Marie, maybe you and I could maybe come up with something. If Audriana could maybe supply us, with that information that she's got it right there. There's no sense in reinventing the wheel. And then you and I could maybe, sit down. We could figure out what the approach. I mean, I can go and walk around the corner and ask, some of our staff and say, hey, by the way, would you be interested in letting us adopt, one or two of your things just as a pilot project? And if we name it pilot project, sometimes that gives it a little bit of a
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, let's connect, because I'll pull up the past communications I got through a couple departments around that whole
awesome.
concept.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Henry.
Yep, there may be additional cost involved too with the structure of the building because of the weight.
Mhm.
Is there somewhere to get money to maybe make it happen?
That would be something that may have to, they would have had to budget for that, and whether or not they would want to take that under their umbrella, or,
Yeah.
or else we would have to get to when Audriana sends me the information, it would make it easier not to go, okay, this is what we would be needing, because obviously we don't want to put something on top that's something that may or may not hold. I'm sure that they've gone through that, with their snow loads and stuff and that up here. So I'm sure that, they're well aware as to what would the capacity be.
It's a good rainwater catch too, right?
Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah.
They have some buildings.
Fascinating.
Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, if the flowers attract bees that people don't want, we could do like sedum or something like that.
Yeah, that would look really cool too, keeping time, just something with a little bit of, and, maybe a little bit of fragrance, and that would be helpful too.
Yeah.
You do have buildings out west on Vancouver Island that have grass on top, and they have goats on top of them too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also I think over in Europe they do have buildings like in Sweden and Denmark, and that same thing. They have grass and animals on top. Cool. It works as it keeps things cooler in the summer. Like, it's a good insulator as well, but you do have to build them for the extra load, eh?
Yeah.
So
It has to be engineered
yeah.
appropriately. Yeah.
So Mona, I only have pictures. The article didn't come with a blueprint or anything like that.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. And then, do you have a source for that, Audriana?
Okay,
Like-
I can look that up again.
Oh, okay, if you have that, that's would be great. I'd appreciate that. Otherwise, I can look it up there. But it's easier in that there if you already have the information instead of reinventing.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Great.
Do you want me to bring back any information about seed bombs and what Jennifer has done as a point of awareness in case that's something you want to, or does that sit more with identifying spaces first? That would be viable options. I don't want to jump ahead too much, but would you ever want her to join a next meeting and just give a little bit of an FYI on that or send an email?
Sure. I mean,
Great.
I'm sure, Brandy could answer, it would just to reach out. I'm sure that she could, we get her the information and we could reach out to her and see if she would want to join us one evening at a meeting, hopefully sooner than later would be ideal. Yeah.
Yeah, it was spring.
That would be up to Brandy and that there to, give us some direction on that particular item.
Yeah, by all means, anybody that you would like to have at the next meeting, give me a name if you have an email address already, and I can include them on the invite. I could also reach out to them and let them know that you're wishing to extend an invitation to basically be in on the next committee meeting or talk at the next committee meeting, whatever you're more comfortable with.
I've got a list of people, so I might
Oh,
mention
here we
them
go.
later down too, but Jen was one of them.
Okay, we keep these here to an hour.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then. Well, we'll move on to item number 2.2. Barrie Chamber of Commerce / Rotary Club of Barrie engagement. And Anne Marie, I think this was an item you brought up.
Yeah, and I think that was, it might tie nicely into the next one too, Carl. It was really
Yes.
just around, as we, and I think we're talking about the proclamation around the theme this year, but I actually have a meeting with a member of Rotary next week who's tied to their, I believe, environmental committee and gardening. And so I was just going to echo if there's a way in which Rotary had any plans or alignments or a way in which he could share some of that communication with Rotarians, then how they can just also help from an engagement and awareness around registering gardens and maybe identifying some spotlights. But I wanted to check first about what of that theme. So when I looked at our 2022 Year of the Garden theme, there are a lot of different aspects. And I didn't know strategically if we wanted to really promote areas that we thought we would have less examples of and try and see if we can get some of our key stakeholders to make sure that that is something that they might be interested in taking on or promoting. So I didn't know if we had gaps, knowing we've got judges coming this year, if we wanted to kind of identify what we're not sure we have or what's a new area we really want to kind of see happen. And how do we be deliberate about asking other groups to see if there's something they could do within that list?
Okay.
But again, I'm kind of new coming into this. Like I registered my garden, put the sign on, so I didn't know if there was areas that we really wanted to promote.
Well, we always like to, depend on which judges and that there, which obviously I won't know for some, it's March, April, probably maybe 2.5 months. So we never know if they're returning judges not there, but it's been, sometimes since they've been able to join us since 2019. But I'd be open definitely to trying to, find out exactly who would be coming back. And even if they're returning judges, there's an opportunity in that there to showcase something new. And that's exactly, something old and something new. So that's, any initiatives and that we can showcase within the time frame. We just need to be mindful that we only have a very short time in that they're with the judges. So we can't showcase everything in that there in 1 year. Yeah, especially because I'm not sure if they'll be with us one night or if they, like 2 full days, or if it will be 1 full day. I'm not sure of that yet. We'll have lots and lots to showcase. So we'll just kind of have to figure that out, what we prioritize, I think, for this year until we get back into the group.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. So if there is anything, then that was more just around a list, knowing that that's got a broad network and can help us on the business side of things, but also active groups. So it was really just looking at, as some of us are engaging them, Is there anything in particular we really want to start promoting around an approach or an interest that they could help us with?
Mhm. Well, I think the big thing that there this year is to regroup and get the participation in that there out there. And, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. And when, as far as like 2022 Year of the Garden, that will be the theme, is that, your gardens to showcase, whether they're commercial business, commercial, multi-residential, residential, community-minded groups, and that will be able to be inclusive in the really and truly the overall banner will be Year of the Garden.
Awesome. So I can leave it there and then I can just keep you updated, but I'm connecting in soon with both groups or representatives from them. So I'll just let them know that we're getting ready and to hopefully they can register their members and maybe push that through their upcoming meetings.
Perfect.
Right.
That would be great.
Thank you.
On one of your notes there that you had on your email there was the Living Green has an Earth Day event on April 22nd and 23rd for their
Yeah,
on tree sales. That's something that we certainly might want to, if we have the CI Communities in Bloom registration forms available, at least maybe take an opportunity that day to either have some people there at that garden, or if we can leave the brochure or the pamphlets there for them to sign up. That kind
I'll
of
be there, so I can do that unless there's members of this committee that want to be there. And I know that they met this morning to kind of plan that event out. And so I can give an update at the next meeting. I think we'll be coming close in hand to when
Yeah,
the Earth Day is.
yeah, that'd be-
But by all means, I'll be there and I can have other contacts. We're doing part of that. They're also going to do a volunteer drive. So it's also helping to get volunteers and people that are interested in the Janice Laking Garden,
Right.
which was registered as a Communities in Bloom. We want to grow that space a bit, teach people about composting, visit the garden, but also look at opportunities to also get connected to some other efforts that are happening across the city. So if a hard copy or printout is available, I can actually facilitate that very easily. And also wanted to welcome you all to say, you've all been very active in that garden and it was great to have you out there last year. So if that garden can support any of our interests or programming, then by all means, let me know.
It's high on the list, that's for sure, Anne Marie. It's
Yeah.
it's a great opportunity. It's just something to showcase. Unfortunately, the judges weren't able to come last year, and that was definitely something that was high on our list here. With the the horticultural department to showcase the Janice Laking community garden, because it's been such a success, and there's multiple organizations and groups in that there that have become very much involved in it. I saw it firsthand last year, and then the donations and that there at the at the end of the season and stuff, and that was definitely something that we would also want to showcase if that's going to happen again this year. So
Yeah.
we'll definitely keep that one for sure on the block.
Yeah,
Great.
'cause
Yeah.
that one is on April 22nd, 23rd. I just looked at my day timer. The next meeting would be the day before. It's only the 21st. So
Yeah.
I think we'd have to sort of indicate maybe a little bit of a commitment now, or in the next couple of weeks to Anne Marie, just to confirm who can be available and if we have these forms available to maybe be there.
Yeah.
And people who might be able to attend and help out.
And if not, I'll be there anyways, and we'll be promoting registering their gardens. So it's more
Okay.
about if there's any type of material that you need me to have in hand or anything we need staff. I'm not sure what we used to give it at the Berry Farmers Market or not, or is it just asking, I'm not sure if that's for you, Brandy, or if it's just asking staff to print off the registration forms and we can give them out to everyone that comes and tell them to fill it out, talk to a neighbor,
Yeah.
come up with something.
That's what we were doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've always done that. Mhm. Yeah.
So I can come a couple hours on the 23rd.
That's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's going to be really important to have, some of the committee, the Communities in Bloom actual committee, and that they're there. So definitely on the 22nd, I can definitely, I would be happy to volunteer some time there as well.
That's great. So I'll get the firm details. I think they were looking at a couple of hours in the late afternoon of the Friday and then the morning to afternoon of the Saturday, but I'll get the confirmation from their meeting today.
Thank you, Anne Marie.
Okay,
Yeah,
sounds
I'll
good.
send that out.
All right. So does that, for the 2.3 part, the potential partnerships and joint events, do you have more to say on that?
I do. I'm going to try and be
Okay.
brief, but
Yeah.
in case it lends
Yes.
to you wanting to bring someone to talk about it or things to keep in mind, knowing that this is really early on, these are some of the other things happening that we can either showcase or look at synergies to support. So we had a city meeting recently by Carol Ann Ryan, who is with the Barrie Public Arts Committee. She's city staff, but they're looking at, and they presented on expanding the number of stops in the downtown area. I think 4 more artist stops are happening. And so I kind of mentioned, wouldn't it be great? Because they do the Patio Everywhere program will open as of April 1st, but some of the patios in the downtown BAA also have these beautiful garden boxes. And now they've got art along the side. And so I was thinking that both the Public Arts Committee and the BIA might be able to really look at how do we accentuate those spots where we're attracting people to go anyways for art to tie into the theme of the Year of the Garden. And so is there a communication or an outreach to both those groups to say, where is the art that you're planning? And the BIA, the businesses tied to where that art is showcased and maybe the general pathway to get there, how do we maybe use that as a spotlight? We're also looking at how do we make that accessible for some things we're looking at doing around Bike the Night. So that's more of a fall event that I can talk about later, but we're looking at how do we continue to create these areas where residents can explore. Maybe there's a passport. And so there might be a nice complement to showcasing Communities in Bloom with other events that might already be happening with the Barrie Public Arts Committee.
Yeah, I worked with Carol Ann on the Hope Garden last year. So yeah, she's real keener. So it'd be opportunity in that, you know, if you can bring that maybe more information as to what she and her, you know, committee and that they may very well be thinking about, that would be great. I'd be open to that. I'm not sure about the rest of the committee there, but I think that'd be a great opportunity to showcase, you know, like the downtown, you know, we have the, you know, like the newer, you know, components since the judges have been in town, and you know, like the downtown new streetscaping opportunities there and whatnot. So I think that'd be kind of cool, like to showcase, you know, like that walk, you know.
Yeah, we might want to
maybe like a walk and talk, you know.
Yeah, we might want to be deliberate. So if this is more convenient, she's been recorded because she presented at City Building, I believe. And so I can send the link out to that if you want to view it and just let you know the time period in which she's giving that presentation.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank
I
you.
should have all the information there.
Okay.
The other one, and I'm not sure where this fits, but part of that presentation, I asked her to speak to an art installation that's happening in Ward 3 with a local artist. And it's got a monarch and environmental aspect to it. So the installation is actually happening April 30th. And I'm hoping members of this committee might be interested in coming out and seeing that. I'll be able to provide more information soon, but that's also in the link that I'll send. Because I was wondering about, once that installation is done, is there an area where we can actually expand that space with some plants and native species and kind of echoing that? But I would love to kind of continue on with a bit of that green space. It's right in the kind of center of the East Bayfield Park. So it's behind the community center on Livingston and Stanley. Hamner would be the north end. So we've got lots of schools in the surrounding area, but where we're looking at the installation is where the sidewalks kind of merge into kind of it's just adjacent to a small incline where there's a couple of benches, and it's got a sign that says a naturalized area. So it kind of fits, and it does have a theme that might be also a spotlight for communities in bloom.
Is that a bit of a triangle shape site? And is there an irrigation box there, Anne-Marie?
I'm not sure, but I know staff have investigated it to make sure it was appropriate.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you want staff member by chance?
Kevin Bradley?
Oh, Kevin. Okay. Mhm.
Yeah, they've done all the site inspection around electrical, drainage, and whatnot.
Yeah.
You'd be
If
looking.
you know something they don't know, please reach out, Mona. So that's just another area, if it makes sense, that's going to be kind of a new space that's activated. If we want to visit it as a committee, if you want, and then also look at, can that be maybe a spotlight if appropriate, that I can support engaging residents to look at maybe a deliberate way in which we add plants to that area, if that works. And I guess lastly, around potential partnerships and joint events. So Barrie Urban Gardeners is kind of a small collective of different individuals, but they've just had a couple of residents that launched Pollinate Barrie, which is now a Facebook page. I think they already have 60 individuals, and some of us are taking a free course that is pollinator certification. And so you've got a bunch of residents that are activated around this who could be great champions to, one, engage around registering their gardens, but also we're seeing this incredible interest and skill set around different way stations and just different wildlife foundation education and backgrounds. And so it might be an interesting group to see if there's an approach that might be unique that we start seeing across the city. I think they're going to start looking at individuals on residential spaces, but I think they also really want to see about how we activate our boulevard gardens.
Okay. And are they in a specific area now or just spread right across the city?
It's really just a Facebook community group that launched called Pollinate Barrie, and it's for anyone that's interested to kind of get connected and share their expertise or interest. But they've got a particular, I think, just creating a forum for a conversation from an environmental aspect. So I can send the link to, if you're on Facebook and you want to see what they're about. I think they just launched last week.
Does everybody want to be contacted by Anne-Marie with regards to their Facebook site, and then we can decide if we individually wanted to go on it, or?
Do you want me just to put that in one email with all the different links and you can kind of self-serve as you want?
Sure, that
That's
would
a
work.
great idea. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, those are the main ones. My only other comment is, I think Mona and I had a quick conversation, but I know City Hall might be a space we could spotlight. And I didn't know if you wanted me to encourage members of council to maybe look at ways in which they could participate in doing a box around City Hall, if we have enough of them per ward.
Yes, so we usually within the courtyard itself, then we install 11 of the round water reservoir planters. And so there might be an opportunity in that there, as long as we would want, like, hopefully them all to participate. And it might be even an opportunity in that there to really promote the National Day of the Garden, which is June the 18th.
So I'll just make a note. So let me know and keep that in mind, because it's something I can help to identify if there is a point in time we want to bring members of council together to do a bit of a planting or to show their support for the program.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
That'd be a great idea.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that sounds good then. So Anne-Marie, you've got a lot of stuff to send out then.
I've got my little list here. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Was there anybody else have any questions or comments on items 2.2 and 2.3 there with regards to potential partnerships, joint events, and
Or if anyone else has some great ideas in that they want to bring forth as well.
yeah, oh, for sure. Well, we can give that some more thought then, and then we can move on then to the 2.4 proclamation 2022 Year of the Garden. I think this is Mona.
Yeah, thank you. So Mayor Lehman, that there has designated that 2022 Year of the Garden, proclaim that, and especially on June the 18th, which is the National Day of the Garden celebration across Canada.
Are they doing something at City Hall or like a flag raising or?
We would want to get, I would need to purchase a Year of the Garden flag that day. It might be an opportunity in that there to, it'd be a week later than depending on the frost in that there, but it might be a perfect time in that to have the councillors in that there actually do the planting of the National Day of the Garden on June the 18th, which is the Saturday before Father's Day. Or even, like say earlier in the week, if necessary, at least we could showcase, their efforts, we'll say, on June the 18th.
Yeah, there's several activities going on too. I'm just looking at that because that lands on the Saturday. But yeah, that'd be great. Let me know and I can help promote that and see if I can get fellow councillors out to it.
Yeah, I think that would be a perfect time in that there. And as I said, if we can't do it actually on the Saturday, at least, it could be completed and promoted as, as the councillors' contribution in that to this year's Year of the Garden.
Yeah, that's great.
So each councillor knows that they're expected to become a gardener?
They do now.
Not yet.
I've got most of them in the garden over the past 2 years, so it's looking good.
You got the leg up on them.
At least 2 green thumbs, but yeah.
Excuse me. Okay, then. So we move on to item 2.5. Communities in Bloom participants, environmentally friendly ideas. Trying to think who, Mona, was that?
That would probably be I.
Okay.
So after the last few years in that there, we've decided that we'd like to move forward with something that to recognize this year as the garden and move forward and try and be environmentally friendly, of course. I know that lots of residents and commercial businesses that they definitely save their Communities in Bloom proud participant signs, and often you'd see every year that they're put out and add to their display, we'll say. But we were thinking that we'd like to come up with some ideas, and I think that might be a little bit of homework. We would want to move forward fairly quickly on some of the ideas. One of them was to actually do a get stickers and that get some nice pots and have Year of the Garden 2022 Year of the Garden still recognizes 2022 as their participating year, and and then they would be able to utilize it like again, whether it was for vegetable planting, put a patio plant in it or whatever, but an opportunity in that there to to make sure that we're being environmentally friendly. But we are definitely open to ideas. I know that Melanie and I we had discussed a few things, so we're open to suggestions, but we had discussed that particular item.
Oh, okay. All right, so you're looking for ideas from the committee here then on other possible ways to do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was just just something that we had discussed. It's definitely nothing carved in stone. So we would I mean, right now, if you have some ideas on that, I'd love to to take them back to Melanie and her communications team.
And this, if I understand, is this replacing the Communities in Bloom signs then?
It would be in the garden, yes.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
So this would be something that would go to each of the participants?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, all right. Just want to be clear what,
That sounds cool to do the pots instead. And they can put those on their front porch.
Yeah, on their front veranda, on their front steps,
Yeah.
in their front window, even if they prefer to put their house plant in it, yeah, just something different.
It'll be
Yeah.
cost effective too, I think,
Hmm.
and no plastic.
And no plastic.
yeah, true, yes.
Any ideas, Dorothy?
No, I'm sort of, I like that idea though. It's a very, it's a reusable product.
Mhm.
That's one problem with the signs is that they tend to deteriorate fairly quickly. And
Yeah, just from the UV, right? Unfortunately.
Mhm.
I
Okay,
talk a lot, so I'm trying to hold back.
you what?
I talk a lot, so I'm trying to hold back.
Don't ever hold back, Anne Marie.
I love it. And then logistically, do you think it will be more of an expense for the purchase of that or the size of them versus the signs? And I ask that only not to promote signs because I love this approach versus on the environmental side, but I'm also seeing this great upcycling and sharing of garden resources. And so is there an initiative where we ask people to bring in used pots or terracotta pots or pots that they don't want anymore, and we put the decal or a brand on it, and it's kind of like come and register or pick your pot and it gets delivered. I was more looking at it from a logistics. If people created their own pots versus were given them, does it support them decorating their own pots and then showcasing that versus a delivery of pots if we get a lot of registrants? So I was more looking at how do we get them to them, and is there an additional opportunity to look at upcycling resources where people might be emptying up garden sheds and kind of redecorating them in some way?
Some of this, the stickers and that there would, or it's an opportunity in that there to speak with Carol, and maybe that they can do their own arts thing. I know that they would want to have something like to work with, and that they're on behalf of the Communities in Bloom. I'm sure it's it's something that they've always been given, and it's recognition that they're for their particular efforts. So I don't know how much participation that they're like that they would want to put forth into something like that, or if to try and do a rah out there. I don't know how that would work, because we definitely want to make sure that that whatever we do, whether it's painting, obviously I'm not a painter at all, but I know what looks good, and is it going to be like a sticker, or maybe put out maybe, I don't know how quickly we can move on this here, but maybe we could put out a request in that there to submit what did they see as year of the garden, and then they could be like maybe like the winner, the overall winner, or whatever could be on the container or whatever is chosen that there at that point.
That's great. Do we have, and this is probably the background I don't know, so does someone sponsor that every year?
Actually, no.
Okay. I didn't know if that was a city budget we had supporting this program, or if it was something every year that gets kind of customized based on our approach.
That would be, yeah. So like the signage and that there would come out of our minimal, budget. So it would depend. I would, try and seek out donations. Once we would decide on a particular container, maybe there's an opportunity in that there for a company in that to sponsor that. I don't know. I haven't reached out, or at least at cost or something.
Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. Yeah. And once we have them too, if there's a particular one, we can always showcase it with a video or something in some of our community groups around potting and what did you pot? And maybe having a feature and making sure that while they're sitting in the garden, maybe there's an activity by which we can make sure they get a photo taken. And I'm assuming that's still going to be part of the approach this year, is kind of the photo bank of different. Yeah,
For sure.
I'm all in for pots over signs. It's also going to be the year of signs, given elections. So let's make sure our signs don't get covered with other signs.
Yes.
Very good point.
Uh-huh.
We're having elections this year?
Mm.
Okay. Great. So I guess if we carry on here now, the item 2.6 was Barrie Adventure Recreational Trail. And Brandy, I assume Jason hasn't joined us?
I haven't received any correspondence from Jason about his attendance for the meeting, if he is able to make it or not.
Okay. Did he send anything or like any kind of information to you with regards to him putting this item on the agenda?
No, just that he wanted this agenda on.
Okay.
If you recall, Carl, is that Jason brought that forth in the meeting at City Hall in 2019, I believe it was, up at the Huronia rooms, and it was a great idea. In that I don't want to speak on it on his behalf, but
Right.
hopefully, like that he would be able to, if not be able to join us, then he'd be able to at least send the documentation that because I know that he did speak on that, if you recall. And it was an exciting opportunity, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was the situation where there was some trees too that had to come down, or it seemed to me there was a bit of an issue. We're trying to keep them from coming down or something, but I'd have to check my 2019 notes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess failing Jason being able to join us tonight, maybe we could defer that then to the next meeting. And we can certainly, I can go back through and check and see what we did talk about in 2019. Mona, if you had anything, Adriana, Dorothy, if you guys have anything on any notes that we made on that, and sort of, then I guess, Mona, if you're in touch with Jason, you said you had mentioned earlier you had talked to him briefly, or my
Yes. Yeah. Just, we had, emailed back and forth and that. And so it's an opportunity that I can reach out to him. And if he could extend, I know he's a very busy person,
Right.
if he might be able to extend his information that there, just, to refresh all of our memories in that, and put that forth on his behalf if he's unable to join us.
Right. Yeah,
I
because
feel like I haven't seen him since 2019.
yeah,
Yep, that's right.
yeah, we go by quite often, but never see him out front. So yeah, we know.
He's very busy. Mhm.
Yeah.
But his input is the important thing.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, then. Well, moving on from that, we have no referred items, and we have no reports, memos to the committee. So does anybody else have anything they'd like to bring up or discuss at this point, or suggest for next meeting before we adjourn?
No takers. I'm like, oh, you waited too long. I can't bite my tongue any longer, Carl.
Well, I was go ahead.
I'll
Yes.
mention it as an FYI, because it's not maybe in scope, but it might be of interest to the group. So what's coming on the agenda at City Council on Monday night is on behalf of Nature Barrie. So they are looking to be working with Nature Canada around getting the city of Barrie certified as a bird-friendly city. So watch and see how that develops. They've done quite well around a rubric. They've got a bird team that they're developing. This is all very new, but that's the context of the motion on Monday, is that the city is looking at just endorsing their interest And so we might be looking at more information from Nature Berry about how that proceeds as they apply for that consideration and work towards it. And then I'm thinking of it in a broader scope around as we plant and look at plantings and pollinators in the bigger piece. That might be an interesting stakeholder group that is probably going to be doing lots of resident engagement.
Right.
And where there's synergies or opportunities to collaborate that makes sense with Communities in Bloom.
Right.
Would that happen this spring, do you think?
My understanding from Nature Canada is they're trying to get 30 municipalities across Canada qualified and then engage residents at some point in time. But there is, I believe it's, I want to say May 14th. I could be wrong. But there's a national date where they want to be doing a flag raising, and then they are keen on those municipalities, even looking at engaging residents around identifying your city bird. So there's lots of things I think still to come. I'll probably be looking at inviting that group if they're interested to present at the Active Transportation and Sustainability Committee if they're successful with Nature Canada.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's great.
Mhm.
Certainly a lot of birds around.
Yeah.
Let's go down to the waterfront any day. Even over at, where are we today? Milligan's Pond.
Were you? Yeah.
The water's open and there's lots of
ducks.
lot of ducks, Canada geese.
Yeah.
No beavers yet.
No, didn't see any beavers, but that's quite a nice little area down in there that I don't think a lot of people, newer residents, maybe don't even know about yet.
Yeah. It's a bit of a gem. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Emery, so just, like if there's, like programs and stuff in that here, which would be beneficial, we may not be able to showcase them all, obviously, because we have such a short time and a lot to showcase, is that, we still need to do like the profile book and whatnot. So we could, it'd be really important, like to gather up, like this type of information that they're include it into the profile book.
Great.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, well, if that's everything then, I know, Henry, you've got to get going. You've got a 6 o'clock date there.
Yeah.
So if there's no other comments and concerns, we will adjourn this meeting and look forward to, well, I guess the next meeting will be on the 21st of April. We'll shoot again for 4 o'clock, I guess, and see how we make out with that one. Okay.
Perfect.
All right, then. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for your participation, and we'll stay in touch.
Okay,
Thank you,
bye.
Brandy.
Stay
Thank you.
safe.